This is a question and answer session with my colleague Krishan Aggarwal about the completion of the Type 2 self-assessment forms for superannuation, and it was recorded on the 25th of January 2018.
Okay, Krishan, so can you tell us a bit about the tiers?
Hi, thank you, Paula. Within the NHS pension scheme, there are essentially two schemes within it. There is the practitioner scheme and the officer scheme. The practitioner scheme is based upon your total income from all your individual roles as a GP, whereas your officer scheme is based on your whole time equivalent.
Great, that's great. So I guess in this example here it means that we add up the part-time incomes to work out which tier you're on, whereas with the officer role, and here we've got an existence of a hospital post, we're basically finding the tier based on the actual annual salary as if you were working full-time. Have I got that right?
That's correct. One other addition to that is that an individual who is a GP can be both in the practitioner scheme and in the officer scheme. So for example, if an individual had a CCG role, that may be an officer scheme alongside their practitioner role.
Excellent, okay, that's great. Okay, Krishan, so a lot of people don't know what a Type 2 practitioner means. Can you just explain that?
Sure. As GPs, we can actually be either a Type 1, a Type 2, or a locum. Type 1 generally encompasses those that are principals, and then Type 2 are those, for example, salary GPs, those that work out of hours, and those that are a long-term locum. And then locums are their own group in their own right. There are some confusing areas. For example, if you do appraisal work and you also do Type 2 work, then your appraisal work actually forms Type 2 work. However, if you're just doing locum work, then appraisal will actually come under the locum category.
Great, that's lovely. So that diagram just puts those three categories there. We won't overcomplicate it, but so salaried, long-term locums who work more than 6 months, and a variety of other portfolios fall in there with certain caveats. That's great. Okay, Krishan, so can you explain about this Type 2 self-assessment form?
Yes, thank you, Paolo. The idea of the Type 2 form is that we all have different roles and we need to add up all of them to come to our correct tier. The purpose of the Type 2 form is to ensure that the correct tier is applied across all your roles, and this is submitted 11 months after the year end.
Okay, so is it possible? It's possible that you might have earned more or less than you'd anticipated. Is that?
And that's correct. Yeah. And the purpose of the Type 2 form then is to correct any underpayment or overpayment.
Okay, so if you're salaried and you've got several roles, have you got any tips to provide in that situation?
Is to ensure that you can put your correct tiers in early as possible, and then when the year end occurs, that the Type 2 form is corrected.
Okay, so and I know that often salary GPs are not aware of the process of the tier setting at the beginning, so it's about making sure that your practice manager, when she submits the estimate of pensionable profits, knows about all your other portfolio work. And then, as you said about the Type 2 form, is when everything is sort of reckoned and sorted out. So if you've overpaid or underpaid, it gets highlighted then. Is that right?
Absolutely, that's correct.
Great. Okay, so a lot of people are exercised about annualisation. Can you explain what that means?
Yes, thank you. Annualisation is a rule that was brought in with the 2015 NHS pension scheme. Essentially, previously, we used to base our tier based upon our actual earnings. However, if an individual were to take a break, their income is multiplied to incorporate that break, therefore increasing their income and therefore applying a different tier.
Okay, that's great. So if we, can you just tell us about the situations where this might apply?
So this will apply to anyone who joins the scheme in a new year after the 1st of April, or leaves prior to the 31st of March, or as a Type 2 practitioner takes a break of greater than 1 month, or as a locum who takes a break greater than 3 months. So this will actually affect all trainees who join the year after the 1st of April and all those who retire not on the 31st of March.
Great, okay, so I think that's pretty clear, and we'll go through the impact of that on the Type 2 form.
If you haven't been sent the pensions form, they're on the NHS Pensions website under the members area, and then you go to Type 2 practitioner forms, and that will open up a drop-down list of both the forms and the guidance. Okay, so take us through this form, Krishan.
Yes, this is the Type 2 form. You'd begin by filling in the initial tab of personal details, and then the employment details tab. This will then indicate which remaining tabs of 1, 2 and 3 that you will need to complete, and then finally you will need to complete the declaration form.
So talk us through this particular type 2 example.
So this is for an individual who has a type 2 salaried role and a locum role. Within the first box, they complete their total pensionable income, which is normally found on their March payslip. If you're unsure, I'd ask the practice manager for clarity. In the lower box, it's your pensionable NHS locum income, and this is usually 90% of your total income.
Okay, and then we've highlighted this box at the bottom there, Krishan.
So this form kindly calculates your tier. However, this does not include the annualisation, which the form will do on another tab.
Okay, great. Okay, so just talk us through this example, which I think has one of these breaks.
So this is an individual who has done some locum work from the 15th of April to the 15th of September, and as a result has had a break within the year. In box R1, it highlights tab 3, therefore indicating to the individual that they need to complete tab 3 because their income will be annualised.
Fantastic.
And here in tab 3 you can see the income, the annualised income after adjusting for the break and the effect on the superannuation. And this is an example of a salaried doctor who's had a break, so they've been off work from the beginning of April till the 1st of September due to maternity leave, and by putting that date in, it points the doctor to fill in tab 2, which is where the income's annualised.
Okay, so I think this then follows up the consequences of that annualisation calculation. Just explain that to us, Krishan.
So you can see here in box 8 that the individual's income has been annualised, and as a result there is arrears to pay, which the individual will need to pay to PCSE.
Okay, great. That's going to come as bad news. Okay, thanks for that. So this is the last sheet, isn't it, Krishan? I guess we sign this off and make sure that goes off all together?
That's correct.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for talking us through all of that.
Thank you for the opportunity, Paula.
Okay.
The Type 2 forms are uploaded via this contact page on the PCSE website. This is also the page for submitting any other forms or inquiries. It's worth knowing that Krishan publishes some really useful blogs and information documents via the BMA website, and here's the latest one on annualisation. If you're a BMA member, you can get help via pensions@bma.org.uk.